Let's take a little look at the game that released very recently on Steam and somehow managed to get quite a bit of skepticism to say the very least. If you're looking for a more detailed review video, this might not be it. However, I will try to cover the biggest red flags in my opinion, and hopefully it will be enough for you to justify your decision on your own. With that being said, let's take a little dive into Frozen Flame. There is something that needs to be said about a game that proclaims to be a survival game, but in reality it barely has anything to do with it. Nor does it have a survival mode in general, not yet at least. Sure, you run around and collect resources and build minor things, but that's about it. There is no hunger, no thirst, no temperature. The current state of the game is nothing but what it feels like to be a demo. Some go as far as saying that the game took them literally 4 to 5 hours to complete, which leads to my next point, the price. The current price for this title is set at $29.99 with the discount $24.99, which is first of all terrible, and second of all increasing the price by $10 more than the best survival game in this genre. And mind you, the game that has the same content but quadruples the amount of content compared to this one, you're just out of your mind. I took a little look at the roadmap and survival mode for the future of this game, and the survival mode is nowhere to be found, with established promise that is, at least not anytime soon. They stated the survival mode is in plan, but there's no date, and it's pretty far out on the chart. If you're making a survival game, it doesn't matter early access or not, you have got to have the main elements with it. Valheim in early access, it performed amazing, and it did have the main survival components to it. It was already built into the game whether you like it or not. And here when you claim yourself as one thing but you turn out to be something completely different, it just becomes very questionable. It's like me selling a vacuum, but in reality it's not a vacuum, it's a heater. It just doesn't make sense. Now the combat system is very clunky as well. You have dodge and block options here. You can't lock onto your enemies in battle, which leads to misled hits and failed attempts. Attack animations are weird as well, and it's definitely a disappointment considering we just spent $30 on this title. PvP is non-existent, so let's not even talk about that one. The game has a stable foundation to succeed. It looks good, it tries to stand out from its competition, and it's using some of those key elements that many of us love with these types of games. However, the gameplay loop is centered around the combat system, a really bad one, and it's unpolished. Having to scavenge for every bit of scrap that you find from your defeated enemies becomes very daunting and slowly repetitive. The loot drop is not balanced. It gets to the point where you just desperately look for that extra bit of scrap in order to move on within the game. And you must do that in order to make any progress, especially to go further into the game. It's very slow. The level design and the atmosphere in this game are good, it just makes it very difficult to feel rewarded. As a matter of fact, risk versus reward doesn't apply here. Sure, over time you approach more difficult enemies, but reward is terrible. Now let's talk about the whole situation they had going on with the renting servers. Now just a disclaimer, they fixed this, but it's still worth mentioning. At launch they had people pay extra money in order to play online, which is for a game like this, it's a very shitty move on developers' part. It made them look very bad, and that's where most of the negative reviews came from, along the side with terrible combat system of course.
Sure, pays $30 for this game. It's slightly broken, but hey, it does the trick, doesn't it? Oh, and we forgot to mention, you must also pay for G-Portal in order to play online with your friends. Sorry, not sorry, we just like the money.
Get your greedy ass out of here, dude. Now, the development team noticed that a bunch of players were pissed off about having to pay extra money in order to play with friends, so they quickly put a stop to it. I just think they realized that that was going to drown their game completely. So I guess that was the smart move on their part, wasn't it? They learned not to ever do it again. Sorry I did a lot of complaining, but there's just simply no sugarcoating this one. I suggest that you stay away from this one until they fix the game and bring more content to it. Especially because the price that is set for this game currently is terribly miscalculated. Setting your price up like this, where in fact Valheim is a lot less, is a pretty bold move if I do say so myself. And it just makes them look desperately greedy. Let's also not forget that the current state of the game can be finished within 5 hours. Yeah. I'm not saying that the future of this game sounds impossible. In fact, I hope this title does well, I really do. But based on its current state and the money they're asking for this, you're out of your mind, fellas. I will keep my eyes out on this one, especially in the future, but right now it's just a no for me, it's no brainer. And it's definitely not worth the money. If I'm paying $30, it better have like at least 40 hours in it. not 4 to 5. Once again, I wanted to make this video very nice and short for you guys. If this helps you in any shape or form, be sure to hit a like button, subscribe for future content like this, and as always, this was your boy Roos, and I'm out. Bye.